Howdy. Welcome to the show. My name is Nguyen, and I am the host and creator of the SnortCast. We've been going live twice a week on the SnortCast. I just love live TV. SnortCast. We've got international. We've got Williamsburg. We've got Ohio, Baltimore, Toronto. We've got Tonga. What? I think people just heard sex in the second point, so we'll flow from.
I am not ready to talk about it. It is. I just don't. Oh my God.
What the hell happened to your arm?
It's just a fashion accessory.
That was fantastic.
Thank you so much for joining the SnortCast, something that I deeply love doing, which is laughing. And I hope to see you on our show every week, keeping it snorting real. And howdy, and welcome to the SnortCast Lockdown Edition number 5. I'm your host, Nguyen, and I'm so excited to welcome you to the show. And before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Kulin Nations, and pay my respects to the elders, past and present. We come to this land in a strange time. It's called a pandemic, and I'm very grateful that you are here joining the show. And if you are watching the show, please let me know where you are watching the show from. You know why I ask that is because I want to know where the snorters are. What part of the continent, city, bathroom are you watching from? Just pop in the comments and we'll get the show started. I'm really excited to bring on our 3 guests very, very soon to talk about comedy and where they're up to, especially in the lockdown. There is not much to do except eternalize and meditate. And I'm hoping this will give them some time to hang out and talk about comedy. You can find out about the SnortCast, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're all on the platforms. All you need to do is put it in the hashtag #TheSnortCast or @TheSnortCast. I've done very well with the branding. And if you would like to support my Patreon, you can click on the link and support the joyful. This show, the SnortCast, started on LinkedIn, and so I'm very grateful that the community has grown on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook and YouTube. So please let us know where you are watching from. All right. I think I've done my spiel. I'm glad you're watching it. All right, let's just do it. Let's bring on our guests for tonight. Here we go. We've got Daisy, we've got Candy, and we've got Sunanda. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey. Hello.
I am loving the glassware.
Oh, yeah.
Does it look like I'm licking the bottom?
I was going to say your tongue is still definitely in frame.
Oh, welcome, team. Sunanda, how are you?
I'm good. For a second, I thought you were trying to ask me, how old am I? How old are you? And I was like,
hey, it's cutting edge questions. Cutting edge.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Cooking extravagant meals, actually. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing with a lot of my time. Because as you know, Melbourne's still in lockdown. We're not that close to 70-80% of the population being vaccinated quite yet. So, yeah. And then planning for things out of post-lockdown, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yeah, we've got 45 minutes tonight to get into that lockdown. Daisy, how are you?
I'm good. I'm 28 years old. Just yeah, I'm good. Things are okay. Not much going on over here. I'm also in Melbourne, so same story. It's fun, but not really.
Yeah, it's a weird Groundhog Day, right? We didn't think this would be the 6th one we'll experience in 12 months' time. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy? I know you're a board gamer.
Yeah, as you can see behind me, that's my board game collection. I actually bought some one-player board games the other day to keep myself occupied. They're not that fun, if I'm being honest. Surprisingly, you need someone to play board games with.
what's the board games we should avoid? Like, what's the retail games that we should not buy?
Oh, don't buy Cards Against Humanity. I know it's really popular, but I think it's a bad game design, and I think it's bad comedy. Yeah,
Ooh.
with the big guns.
There you go.
So, yes. Yes.
Why, Candy?
You know, I watch shows. I watch a lot of shows at the moment for various reasons, and this comes up a lot. Like, deeply ableist, quite racist, quite sexist, quite fucking homophobic at times. And it's supposed to be, oh, it's against humanity, so it's funny. But I tell you what, it's more against certain humans than others. And I'm done. Like, I'm quite addicted to hospital dramas because my mother's very unwell. My friend might have terminal cancer, and I can't get out of the loop. It's probably very unhealthy. But at least if I'm like snotty crying at a TV show, when I talk to them, I can be like, yeah, how you doing? Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. Okay. What did you do today? You know what I mean? That's the only way of justifying it. But my God, the heteronormativity is like, wow. The ableism. It's a similar thing with those cards. I'm like, obviously the people who made that game weren't us.
Oh, I didn't make it. I'm glad I didn't pay for it either now. It wasn't me.
I'm a monopoly kind of person. I want to buy real.
You're a capitalist. I hear you. Yeah. Also, like right now, do we need to be against humanity? I think we sort of need to be for humanity.
All right. So no Cards of Humanity.
Esther Perel's card game.
Hey?
Where do we begin? Have you heard of Esther Perel?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I've heard of it.
A game called Where Do We Begin? Also, I'm so, but School of Life, Alain de Botton, but also Flex Mummy. She has a great card game.
Boom.
So her, African Australian, she's on Apple Mac ads right now. And she's the first plus-size black woman to run a huge campaign at Bras and Things. Like, I'd be up for that card game.
Fantastic. Good recommendations. So we've got a clear no for Cards of Humanity, and Candy will send us the list.
Come at me and Daisy in the comments. See how
and Candy, how are you?
I'm delirious, babe. I'm delirious. I've been doing a writer's room today, and just because I'm an empath and an actor, I feel like when they're like, what do you think the flaws of this character might be, or what do you think that their archetype is, I feel like I have to go become the character and be like, okay. Whereas I'm looking at the writers going, tick, 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 and I'm going, I really feel like maybe they had something with their dad. At times, I think they love it because they're like, oh, great, we've got a comic and an actor. That's a really different thing in a writing room. Writers and directors can be very far from the experience of what actors experience, or what, like I often say, put this in this character, an actor would eat that up. A comic actor would love that. That would be like, you know, because sometimes they forget that it's play. A little bit. So there's that. And so I'm a bit exhausted, but because I also crammed the notes. You got to watch a lot of shows, read a lot of articles over the last few days.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm very grateful that all three of you have taken the time to be part of this show. Very chilled out. So don't extend yourself. But I do want to ask my first question to Daisy and to Sunanda and Candy, because we've been working and performing this year, 2021. Who knew? Daisy, I think you can see that. Does that come up? There we go. Daisy, you did a show for the Comedy Festival this year. How was it to get back on stage again from the year that we had last year and then get back into lockdown?
It was so good. So like I I don't know if anyone else watching knows this. I came out as trans last year, and I think any like big life change, suddenly you just get like all this inspiration for like stuff to write about, stuff to joke about. And so I came out of that second like long lockdown with like a whole new like 10 minutes of material. And it barely like changed at all as well. I was just like, cool, I've got this like fully formed idea of like what I want to talk about. And that was pretty much the whole. So like Pretty Good Lineup is the show that I did at Storyville. And yeah, it was just a lineup show. Me and a few mates. We had a few guests drop in as well. But yeah, it was just a good chance to like, you know, not have to structure a show or like plan out anything like really long, and just have fun with it. It was really cool.
Yeah, and I think we're all grateful that those 4 weeks happened. What a miracle it was.
It was just amazing that it was able to happen. Like, you know, it got cancelled the previous year. It's, you know, the way things are looking now, maybe we won't get another one next year. But just for that like little bit, like everything came together and we were like, oh, there's a festival right now. This is pretty cool.
It's so the luck of the draw, right? Like it just feels like you like a little tiny bit of survivor guilt or something, because the next month your friends are out of it or, you know, miss out. And like I know playwrights, their first baby's supposed to be on last year or this year. I know people that have been hit 3 times with their show dates and just like bam, 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 you know, just such bad luck to go. They kept trying. Like it's almost like, well, how many times will you keep trying?
Yeah.
Well, that's my next question to Sunanda. Raw comedy. You were meant to do raw comedy 2-3 weeks ago. And what happened?
I don't know. I guess it'll be 2022 by the time we do the 2021 Raw Comedy Competition. I don't know. And going back to Comedy Festival too, like I was one of the comics that was like, no, I can't emotionally invest in producing a show for a festival that may not happen anymore. And then when Comedy Festival did happen this year, I was kicking myself through the entire festival because congratulations, Daisy. Everybody had a sick run and a sick season. And there I was being like, I had a pass from a friend's show and I barely went to see anything because I was just in such a funk. So so then I like kind of picked myself up and then did your show, Diana, and then you were like, do Raw. And I was like, okay.
Yes,
and then
I did.
And I was like, I'm gonna snap this up. And sign up on I thought one of the last days, and then, you know, now it's just pushed forever.
Yes.
I've been wondering about raw comedy because usually the person who wins the whole thing gets to fly to Edinburgh. What do they give if you win it this year? Do they if they give you money? That's kind of better.
Just pay my rent for a year. Would that be sick?
Money would be fine, right?
That would be great.
Yeah. All the door money. Money is what everybody needs right now. How are the government paying people and the businesses money? It's pretty scary, right? Like, I don't understand it. What are the checks and balances here? Like, small businesses are getting another $5,000 this week. And I want to say to the people that have advocated and work so hard to get sole traders, seasonal workers, support act for performing artists. Sometimes I'm like, wow, because you get so upset, oh, there's nothing for us, and then you get more upset when there's something for you. It's almost like a gift is more painful, and I just feel like when is it going to be not painful anymore? You know, like when do we get to feel like the new normal concepts? That we just don't get the new normal because we're now in a new scarier funk where little kids can pick this up. So it's interesting. And I don't know about everybody else, but my God, I'm watching a lot of TV. I need the TV. I need the TV because I can't grieve with my people. They're all immunocompromised. I myself and Pan and Polly and I can't have casual, adventures or misadventures in my sex life. So I'm like, what else can I do but watch it?
Yeah.
What else? What else? Anyone, please, in the comments.
You can watch The Croods. That's trending on Binge now because of Scott Morrison's comments this morning.
Wow.
I don't think I can do anything in reaction, response, or in line with Scott Morrison. I feel I'm allergic a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. Avoid.
That's fine. Yeah. And Candy, talking about money, I thought it was a great segue that you did for me naturally, is that you did receive some money last year
Yes.
to create a podcast.
Oh, yes.
Multi-Hyphos. I hope I spelled that wrong. Right. Multi-Hyphos podcast.
Multi-Hypho. Yes, I did.
Can you tell us more about that?
I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. So I know a lot of people do things off their own back, but I sort of like to be quite set up and pay for it. And also probably because I'm 42, I feel like I've been around the block. I really want people to be paid. I don't need to put stuff out unless I can, pay people and treat people like artists, whether they're emerging up and coming. That's my personal thing of being in the industry for 22 years, and I know it takes time. So no shade, but it was a beautiful labor of love. And I talked to lots of multiracial, multisexual, multi-creative people. That was my MO, to talk to people who live across multiple intersections and sexualities and also that do many things as artists. There's Sam Gaskin, who did The Beautiful Reckoning and is a pretty incredible character throughout. Like, I've known him for some time. I spoke to Yumi Steins. I spoke to Joel Marr. I spoke to Lay the Mystic. I spoke to Zoe Tarakis, who was then in the week, I think we launched it. We had these beautiful Kismet moments where we did Zoe's podcast, and in that same week there was an article about them being in the top 20 trans activists in the world. Like, amazing. And then when I spoke to Laniuk, who's a queer Indigenous poet, it coincided with NAIDOC, and none of it was planned because of the lockdown. We were postponing. We had a beautiful partnership with Arts Centre Melbourne and because they had some weird money, which is like, well, you were supposed to do live shows and we're not. How can we keep people coming to the website? And I proposed this. I proposed a few things because I've been an artist in residence there with my education stuff. And I said, look, I want to do something even more to elevate and like pay 9 artists or more. I think we did a couple doubles. While this lockdown's on, it was also a means of like giving people a bit of a job and a bit of cash, like a gig.
Money.
So we had a beautiful Linda Hurd gave us 10 grand to make it. And so we got to pay people properly.
To make a podcast.
That's right. It's a beautiful, beautifully engineered by Christian Biko and artwork by Karen Bravo. And, I got to do that thing where you go, well, why don't I pay an artist to make the logo and paint the hero image, engineers, musos, get each of the artists to do something like Joel Marr, who is known for being a pretty staunch sort of musical guy. He's pretty alpha, I would say. Wrote a letter to his new baby that he had in lockdown. New, very, very multiracial baby. And we talked about sexuality and stuff. What I loved is I could talk to people who are usually sort of in one lane about all their other intersections and how that affects their art. Yeah.
Can I ask our guests tonight, how many hyphos do you have?
Slashes.
Yeah.
///.
///.
I'm fluid. Pan poly. Blasian, which involves Black, Chinese, Malay, Indian, Portuguese, Xhosa, Zulu. the census can go fuck itself. It can go, suck some very straight cocks because there are not anyone else represented within it. It felt like an inhuman act.
Yeah.
That cast inhumanity.
Yeah, Daisy, what did you think about the census? Because
it doesn't actually ask what you were born as or anything. So I was just like, I'm a woman. That's easy. But I saw the thing and I'm like, oh, that's going to cause issues for a lot of people. Like, if you select non-binary on it, then it just randomly assigns you male or female, which is bizarre. I don't know why they would do that. But I had no issues personally. Oh, it did ask if I've ever given birth to any babies. That was fun.
I wrote 99 and I thought, no, that's not it.
Did you?
No, I typed it in.
Like a good Catholic woman.
You're like, not yet.
I was like, figurative babies, literal babies, emotional babies, spiritual babies. But like, the ethnicity, like I couldn't really show who I was on the census. There's no way.
It's just say what your background is up to 2 nationalities. It was just very limited in how they perceive what the average Australian is like, and it's like the census is meant to figure out what the average Australian is like. It's so stupid.
See, if they had paid us to engineer the census, like the 4 of us, like looking at this screen right now, it would be fulfilling. The tick
along with Keanu, we've almost got everyone.
There's a lot more pie charts on the census.
Yes.
Fraction. Create your own pie pieces too, and unlimited slices.
Because Sunanda, you've got lots of hyphos because you've got quite a few hyphos. Like, what's your cultural background?
I guess. I don't know if I see them as hyphos. I guess, but I'm third generation it's just one specific thing, I think, but I'm just third generation Indian from Thailand who went to an American school.
I hear 3 things already.
Yes, that's true.
That's just one. That's the one specific thing I am,
I hear you.
And I'm sure that's a category on its own.
That's it.
But then I guess you add lesbian in there, and then like mask of center, and like I know one other person like me who checks all the time. She's actually my arch nemesis. So. And closeted, I think. That probably explains the aggression, but we've been arch nemesis. They're also Indian, Thai, speaks with an American accent. Definitely mask of center, but definitely a closeted lesbian. And we're like this.
There you go.
Everyone needs an arch nemesis, right? Was that on the census?
Then what happens?
Arch nemesis.
Then there's like 3. What happens when there's 3? Then there's like 2 on 1, and then 4, and then 5. Like this is what the world are worried about.
But
a wall of white men, please run our countries. Yeah.
Daisy, you have some hyphos because you've got a podcast called Daisy's Diaries that you created with your partner last year.
We did like 10 episodes just as like a little lockdown project. We sort of started recording it, I think around the time that I started taking like hormone therapy as part of my transition. So it was just like, I'm going to be going through a lot of changes. This is something cool that we could document and talk about like how that's impacting on our relationship. So a lot of it was about like how we were feeling like week to week. I was like, 1 week I'd be breaking down crying. The next week I would also be breaking down crying, but there'd be something else going on.
Yes, third week breaking down crying.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there still is a lot of crying. But we're actually thinking of doing some more episodes. We don't know when exactly, but yeah, something else to talk about. Like, there's a few more milestones that I've reached. Like, I think it's been a year now since I started hormones. I've like changed my name. I don't know. There's stuff to talk about that we really want to cover. So yeah, if anyone wants to check that out, the first episode is called "Slightly Bigger Nipples." Don't let that put you off. It's
just slightly bigger.
Is it?
yeah. So that was like I just had really low expectations for what would actually happen with hormone treatment because they really don't want you to expect a whole lot in case you get let down. So I was just like, look, I'll be happier with slightly bigger nipples. So that's the episode.
So all is revealed in the episode. Don't say any more.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold the track. Hold the track.
Yeah.
Go check out Daisy's podcast. And if you're
Can
watching,
just one small question. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
no, go Candy. Ask a question.
Not the areola, just the nip. You're saying slightly bigger nip.
No,
The areola.
the areola.
The whole thing.
I thought that I was hoping the whole thing would get bigger. I guess I don't know. I'll talk about that on the next episode that we record, maybe.
Right on.
Bit of sizzle for that.
Yeah.
Getting inspired there.
I'd love to talk about intersectional nipples because, like, I have seen such diverse nipple and areola in my time.
Yes.
In my career.
Any conclusions you can share from your vast observations?
Color is interesting, isn't it? When from the light pink to the dark brown, almost black. It's exciting. I think that when it's also interesting, right? I talk about this a lot because of the writers' rooms about what we perceive is beauty, and particularly with females and women, cis or presenting, socialized, however you want to put it, what that has been like on screen for us, what we think is, what is supposedly hot and all that, because I'm got Zulu in me. I've some family members whose areolas are the size of saucepans, so I'm not, when you said slightly bigger, I was like, slightly, but then because I remember my niece used to be around my sister's titties, like she'd put her head in between them, like, like I know me and Jay had to talk about boobies a bit, but like it's interesting to sort of go, I just think if we saw more and more diverse all the time bodies, we can endow people with hotness. It's just such bullshit, the body fascism that goes on TV and films. I just go, but it can really fuck people up too. Like that worries me. It can really mess people up, and young people up, and old people. People can be in their 60s with body issues, And I think that's what I hope moving into TV and my own material too on it, that we can just broaden and keep broadening, almost so like the census. Like, let's just keep broadening and broadening to include more diverse sexiness, because some people find stuff sexy and they don't even feel like they're allowed to find it sexy.
Yeah.
I was bred on blonde Barbie, and then the first girl I had an actual crush on was a human 11-year-old version of Barbie. And then the 3 people I liked after that were all tall, blonde, skinny, and until I reached my early 30s, I think, I didn't really look at, because then I was obsessed with Britney Spears. And I didn't look at anything beyond blonde, white, skinny. And I think that also, that representation of an attractive woman, like the hot pinnacle of woman, that we should all want, is that like white, skinny, blonde, Nordic, Heidi. I say that now. My dog's named Heidi. Doesn't look like a blonde, tall girl at all. But that's what we're like meant to go for. And I think that also informs my questioning of how I gender identify. And I think I've always, because I'm like, oh, if that's woman, that's definitely not me. So am I woman? But then a part of me now is like, oh, is it more politically important? If we look at identity as a political thing, then is it more politically important for me to identify as woman, to then broaden and expand what a woman is and can be?
Yeah.
It's
And-
interesting.
Or do I just put that all
Do you
together?
want to say something, Dee Dee? Because we're just going for it.
Yeah,
and you,
sorry.
Yeah. Well, I want to hold that space because I do want to talk about the project you both, Sunanda and Candy, did this year called Take Back. It was the hottest performance at Northcote Town Hall. Yeah, please talk about it, because this is about the body, the woman, the person, the human whose body's moved in the space. Like Daisy, it's sold out, so you didn't miss out on anything.
Look, I've got to say it's one of the hottest casts I've ever worked with in my fucking life too. Super queer, super amazing. There were women, Filipino, West African, Bengali, Pakistani, Punjab. Who else was in there? We worked with Loz Serrano and Demi Serrano. Lorraine's a deaf queer B-girl. Like, talk about the intersections. Wow, like Black British, Black American. It was wildly hot. I mean, yeah, it was.
And even the crew, I mean, working on the video shoot, people in the actual lights, and then people working the lights, and people working the cameras, and like it was. There were so many, mostly women of color, queers of color,
Femmes of color. Yeah,
femmes of color. It was beautiful,
and it was like just shining a light on. So we had physical comedy, we had hip hop, we had short film, we had spoken word. It was like a mixtape of sort of anger and sadness and joy and taking back of place and space. And it was lit by Emma Valente, who's one of the most talented lighting designers in the world. We worked with Miss Risk as a music, in the music department, Claudius and Georgie Delamore that did Her Sound, Her Story, the Native Tongue film clip. Probably any film clip that you love with choreography, Claudia has directed. Just pointing out there. She just worked with, what's that lady, that Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know, is she cancelled? But got into, is she Kiwi? Is she Australian? She kind of sings. She's a lesbian. Anyone? Can't remember her name. Anyway, she's just done her over Zoom. How do you direct over Zoom? Anyway, we had a brilliant team, and because I'd just come back from Los Angeles and I was supposed to be there, I really wanted this year to bring a piece of that, what I'd experienced over there, here. Like, if I'm going to executive produce or work on anything, I'm very picky. I try to work with people who don't play Cards Against Humanity. No, I try to work with, I want to work in queer and fluid spaces with people of color as well. And so that's my MO, and that's where I'm comfortable. And what I'm learning is that Australia is finally beginning to understand more, but all the cultural gatekeepers, all the producers, all the blah blahs, all the heads of the things are still pale, stale and male. But So Take Back was a great example of what things could be. And the friendships and connections that have continued are just this amazing testament to what happens when people feel good and people feel comfortable and people feel able to just be like fucking not just speak their truth or something, but fucking kill it, like do the most as thrilling as it can get, Yeah,
it was real. It was definitely real.
And we get to do it live, which is fucking crazy.
And it was during the comedy festival time. So Daisy, you were doing a show at the comedy festival, and Take Back was it had like a 2-show run, and yeah, it was magnificent to see all that work come together. And when you do a lineup show or any show, people don't see that the behind the scenes. It's the woman, man, non-binary power coming together. How do you say manpower these days? Is that still a word?
I don't think so.
Okay, group power.
People power sounds so like
People power. Yes. We've had an audience say, Ben Cross has written, "Love the body talk. Keep moving the conversation forward. Be well. Thanks, Ben, on LinkedIn."
Ben Cross, love
Yes.
the body talk. Well, let's talk more.
Well, I'm going to direct this question to Daisy because we're talking about cool things that we've seen. What's the coolest or weirdest scene, and this is the question to all of you, that you've seen in the past month, online or offline? And I'll start with Daisy if you've got anything on your brain.
Oh, okay. The weirdest thing that I've seen. My girlfriend Kat has this cookbook. I think it's like a Frankie cookbook or something. And most of the recipes in it were like really good, but there was just this one. It was like a tart that like the filling was made with cream and pineapple, and it had like sherry in it and marshmallows. And it just got weirder and weirder. We're like, we have to make this. And oh my God, it was terrible. Honestly, it was so bad. That's the weirdest thing that I've seen in the last month. The thing that I made.
Yes. How about you, Sunanda? What have you seen that's weird or off for you?
Not to bring the party down, but I saw an accident happen right in front of me the other day. I was at the light, and then a van came across Royal Parade. I think bumped a car a little bit, and then hit the curb, and then flipped to its side.
Wow.
And I believe nobody was really hurt, but like all these, like this huge plume of smoke came out of the exhaust. And I was actually going to turn that way, but I was like, nah, in case it blows up. But what surprised me is how quiet it was. Accents are really, that was the first thing I've ever seen. And they're not loud. Like, talk about misrepresentation in media. Like, they're not loud for people who are, you just kind of hear a little like, bang, bang, chop. And like that was it, and I was like, "What? That was so."
Can we actually practice it? Like, do it as a movie scene? Can you do that again? And we make no sound at all. Can we do that? Can you direct us, Sunanda? Ready?
Bang, bang, pop.
That was. You should go into the skills, Sunanda.
Thank you. I'm gonna Foley. Thank you.
Foley.
Live on film style.
I was going to say, in the past month, can I just go back? I need to go back.
No one
I was in Brunswick in one of the, we're allowed to go to the shops lockdowns, but Kmart was closed already. Did you know Sydney just shut Bunnings this week? People were allowed to Bunnings. Oh, so dumb. Anyway, I saw a woman in a scuba dive, an older woman in a scuba diving thing, air thing. What do you call it? Like goggles and a thing. And a wetsuit. A snorkel. You got it. And a wetsuit. And I was like, amazing. And I was like walking past and I went, you forgot the flippers, like as a joke. And they went, I couldn't walk in those, as if I'd asked the and suggested the craziest thing. And she was like, and I was like, touche, you are well protected. I see you. A scuba. And I was just like, where did they get that from? Did they get that on Amazon? Was that theirs? But it was like their version of protection. And I thought they'd be funny. Like they were doing it for a bit of like, in lockdown, how people got a bit costumey and like did stuff just to be like, we're taking out the rubbish, but we need a moment of costume. No, serious person, a serious person.
Wow, so good. We're going to take a little commercial break and we're going to play a quiz game. While we wait for our audience to maybe ask a question, we're hitting the home stretch. And thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our guests for coming on. I will ask Daisy, because we've got time constraints, if you could pick a decade that you would like to do this quiz.
Okay, Daisy was not born yet.
I'll go with the 90s.
Ooh.
Were you born in the 90s?
Hey?
Were you born? What year were you
I was
born?
born in 92, so I don't really remember the 90s, but
Oh, that was a compliment. Candy just gave the biggest compliment to Daisy. You born
I'm
in
on
the
the edge, girl.
I also can't do maths because you had said your age. But I
Yes.
thought,
All right. Sunanda, what's your buzzer sound, please?
Oh. Huh?
Daisy, what's your sound?
Daisy.
Candy?
nipples.
Okay, of course. The theme is there. All right, it's the
That
best.
one for you, Mr. Cross.
It is best out of 5. And if you win, I'll buy a ticket. I'll buy a ticket to your show, and we'll gift it. Yes. So pay it forward. All right, here we go. First question. Which band was originally called Girls' Time? Is it A, Everything But the Girl, B, TLC, C, Destiny's Child, or D, Spice Girls?
Honk.
Sunanda?
Spice Girls.
Don't know.
Can we jump in?
Yes.
Daisy.
Yes.
Is it
No, Daisy, the actual sound of your...
Daisy.
That's
Daisy.
There we go. I have to say it. The
Daisy.
exact same intonation. Okay. Is it TLC?
No, Candy.
Oh.
Yes.
Titties. I mean, nipples.
Yes.
Nipples.
Yes.
Destiny's Child.
Correct. 1 to Candy. Next
That was
question.
pretty easy. Thank you, everyone.
I'm 15. I don't know that stuff.
Next question. Mel B teamed up with Missy Elliott to record which single? A, I Want You Back. B, Here We Come. C, Feels So Good. D, What About Us?
I feel that these are very not
Very American.
nipples.
Oh, Hunk. Sunanda was a bit louder.
Louder. I'm sure I can go to under.
I shot in the dark. Feels so good.
Go down.
All right.
Nipples.
Nipples.
What's the one? What about us? What's that? What?
What About Us is D.
Right. Okay.
Wrong. Daisy?
What hasn't been picked?
I Want You Back or Here We Come?
I like the sound of Here We Come.
Wrong. You go.
Oh,
Guys,
obviously that was a banger. Like,
Okay.
I reckon this one's good. I reckon this is good. Trust me, this one. Who released Freestyler in 1999?
Oh, nipples.
Daisy.
I went first.
Oh, yeah.
Go, Candy.
Fat Boy Slim.
No.
Oh,
Who is
Daisy.
it? Daisy.
Is it Bomb Funk MC?
Yes.
oh.
One.
Rock a microphone, boom, boom. Straight from the top of my dome.
Free Tyler.
All right. Candy and Daisy are on 1 each. Sunanda, come on. Let's do this, baby.
Are there any points for singing freestyling?
No.
I'll give you half a point. Half a point.
That was a perfect rendition.
All right. Here we go. 4th question. JK was the lead singer of which British funk band? The Proclaimers, Jamiroquai, Madness, or The Real Thing?
Nipples.
Yep,
Jamiroquai?
correct. I don't think I said his name right. Jamiroquai?
Jamiroquai.
Right, last one. Daisy to even the score. And go home.
Brandon, sorry.
You still have a chance.
Okay. In which year did Nirvana release Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Oh. No.
Yes.
Sunanda, you've just kicked Daisy out of the race.
Oh, sorry.
Sunanda, what is it?
I'm going to say 1995.
Incorrect.
Nipples.
you want the multiple choice? Because there's a multiple choice, everyone.
Oh, shit.
Is it 1990, 1991, 1993, or 1992?
Nipples. I'm going to say 90. I think I was in year 8. So I think it has to be, it's 92 or 93, but I don't know which.
Pick it. Daisy can jump in and steal it.
92.
Incorrect. Daisy.
That's what I was going to pick. So I'll go 93.
Incorrect. It is 1991.
Oh, you said it.
Candy, you won. So we'll buy tickets to your show, which I always do anyway. We're at the end of the show. Can you give us a lowdown on what you're up to now, where we can follow your work? Candy, what are you up to next?
I'm in the background in the writers' rooms at the momentito. I might do 9 more episodes of Multi-Hypho before the year is out, but I'm taking it pretty easy because it's been a full year and it's been griefful. So I'm writing a feature. I'm on 2 shows at the moment, and I've got a series I'm trying to pitch out from Albania.
Yeah,
Hey,
we've got Roger from Dallas watching. Thanks for joining.
Oh, ladies.
California. We've got Pakistan. Welcome. Sunanda, what are you up to next? Where can we follow you?
Waiting for Raw Comedy round to happen. And also I'm working on a show, doing a Melbourne reincarnation of an LA show I used to do called Indian Wedding, tongue-in-cheek title. But working on developing it for Melbourne right now with an Abbotsford residency. And we'll see when it opens. And then I'm also supposed to do a couple nights of stand-up during Fringe if that happens, but definitely not online. And then also another friend, Cheeto Mwat. I'm playing a character in her Fringe show as well. If that
Right. Awesome. And Daisy, like someone did guess 91. David, you won. Daisy didn't. What are you up to, Daisy?
Nothing much. Just working on new material that I can do once we open up again. And maybe some new podcast episodes. But at the moment, nothing is in the works.
Just nice. Board games. Just lots of board games.
Yeah.
I'm just going to all research nipples and get back to it.
I'm always researching nipples.
That's just called Googling for porn, you guys.
Anybody want to send me any information, any pics? No, I should not put that out there.
If you're on LinkedIn, there's a call out for nipples for Candy Bowser's profile.
Candy's locked out. It's the longest time without skin-to-skin contact.
Thank you so much for joining. You've been such wonderful guests. Thank you for being so open and talking about, oh my God, yes, of course.
I love that you just had those lying around.
Salt and pepper.
You're like, come on, hand me the nipples,
Are
please.
they're salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah, one of them's bigger than the other.
But they're also, you know what? Boobs are not twins, they're sisters.
Yeah, that's definitely my story too. Thank you. Thank you for everyone joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We'll see you all next week on another lockdown edition. Thank you. See you, everyone. Bye.
Yes, bye.